ॐ शन्नो मित्रस्यं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यः शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोऽभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणम् जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवम् ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ऋकारस्त्वन्धकारस्य ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Chant the first verse. नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे the author begins the text with an invocation of the nature of namaskara, salutation to the teacher as well as salutation to the Lord. As it was explained yesterday, Shankarananda, the word Shankara was explained as that which brings about happiness, and the one who truly brings about happiness is Lord or Paramatma. So Shankara means Brahman or Paramatma. Ananda means joy, and there where you really find joy is yourself, because the self is the locus of all the love, and joy must be where the love is, and therefore Ananda or happiness means the Jiva, the self. Thus Shankara means the Lord, Ananda means Jiva, the Shankarananda. This shows both the Aikya, the identity between Jiva and Ishvara, the Lord and the individual. And this Shankarananda, the Lord himself is the Guru, he himself is the teacher, because he alone comes in the form of teacher, imparts the teaching to the students, the disciples, so that they can overcome all the obstacles in their knowledge. And so this task is in fact performed by the Lord himself in the form of teacher, Acharya Murtistha, the Lord obtaining in the form of Acharya. He alone does it, therefore this Shankarananda himself is the Guru, the teacher, and is Sri Shankarananda. Sri. So Sri means Aishwarya, means also power. This Guru is possessed of different kind of power which is necessary to bless the students. Now, this much we discussed yesterday, Sri Shankarananda Guru. But the author is saluting not to the Guru, but is saluting the lotus feet of the teacher. And that also we saw, Guru Padambu Janmane. Ambu Janman, Ambu Janma means that which is born in water, means lotus. So Namaha Sri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane. Salutation to the lotus feet of my teacher, Sri Shankarananda. Okay, now what's the nature of this lotus feet? What does it do? So now, going to the next page, the Tikakara asks this question in the first line. Kim Vidhaya, he says, what's the nature of this lotus feet? That is being stated in the second line of the verse. Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Grasaika Karmane. Again a big word, a compound word consisting of several words. First word is Savilasa, then Mahamoha, Graha, Grasa, Eka Karmane. What is Savilasa? Again Savilasa is consisting of two elements, Sa and Vilasa. So the Tikakara, the commentator explains, Vilasaha Karyavargaha. Vilasaha means sport. So this ignorance here is compared to a shark. And ignorance sports. Ignorance has its own, it spreads itself in the form of different effects. As we said yesterday, the first product of ignorance is ahankara, the sense of individuality. A sense of individuality which separates me or isolates me from everything else. Sense of individuality is fine if it did not do any damage, but it isolates me, separates me from everything else. So aham, the sense of individuality, from that mama, the sense of mineness, that this is mine, and raga, dvesha, the likes and dislikes, all of this is karya varga. All of these are the products of ignorance, and that is called vilasaha. Ignorance, in fact, obtains or ignorance spreads in the form of, ignorance sports in the form of this ahankara, mamakara, raga, dvesha. So savilasa means vilasena sahavartadeti savilasaha, that ignorance obtains along with its army or along with its progeny, along with its effect. And that alone is evam vidhoyo mahamoha. Savilasa mahamoha. Moha means aviveka, non-discrimination or delusion. Mahamoha, the great delusion. What is the great delusion? Mula Ajnanam, that ignorance of myself, ignorance of the nature of the self, which creates all kinds of confusion, all kinds of which is the cause of all kinds of errors. Mula Ajnanam. So ignorance is conceived of in two stages. One is called Mula Ajnanam, other is called Tula Ajnanam. The ignorance, original ignorance, and the products of ignorance. In fact, Ajnanam or ignorance is something that you cannot see, you can't perceive that. It's not a perceptible object. But what you can perceive or experience is the effects of ignorance. Just as the seed or the root of a tree is underground, is not manifest to the eyes. What you perceive is the tree. But from the presence of the tree, we infer the presence of the root. And similarly also, from the presence of the effects, we infer the presence of the cause. So, this was discussed elaborately in the Brahma Sutra introduction as to how there is what we call adhyasa, a superimposition, taking one thing to be other than what it is. Just as a rope is taken to be a snake, or a mother of pearl is taken to be silver, and so also Atma, the self who is limitless, is taken to be a limited thing. So this error is evident everywhere. And error can be possible only when there is ignorance. So from the error which we experience or which we observe, from that we infer the presence of ajnanam or ignorance. So we have ignorance and the products of ignorance, which is error. And that itself is graha saeva graha. Graha means a shark. Makaradivat, a big shark. Why do you call this ignorance and the samsara born of ignorance? Why do we compare it with shark? Says the commentator, Makaradivat svasham praptasya ativa dukkha hetutva. A crocodile. If a crocodile catches hold of you, or hold of, then what? The one who comes under the grasp of the crocodile becomes the cause of a tremendous suffering. Before you die, but there is a lot of suffering involved, So that's what crocodile does. It inflicts a tremendous amount of suffering to the one who comes under its grasp, and so also this ignorance and the products of ignorance, what we call samsara, inflicts the same kind of suffering to the one who comes under its spell. So svavasham praptasya ativa dukkha hetutvad, because the ignorance is a cause of a tremendous amount of suffering by the one who is under the spell of, for the one who is under the spell of ignorance. Such a big shark of ignorance, what does this teacher do? Or his lotus feet, what do they do? Tasya grasaha grasanam. He swallows the shark. The shark swallows us, and he swallows the shark of ignorance. The lotus feet, in fact, the lotus feet of the teacher swallow the shark of ignorance. How can lotus swallow anything? There is not swallowing involved here, but then what happens by swallowing is disappearance. When it is swallow, then whatever is swallowed disappears from our sight. And so also the lotus feet have the ability to destroy ignorance, and therefore it is said that the lotus feet swallow this shark of ignorance. Saeva ekam mukhyam karma vyaparaha. That's the eka karma, the mukhya, the principal task, the main function that the teacher or the lotus feet of the teacher perform is called savilasa mahamoha graha grasaika karmane. So the second line, savilasa mahamoha graha grasaika karmane, that's the second line. So that means that this lotus feet, whose principal job or the principal task is to swallow the shark of ignorance along with all its products. So this is what the lotus feet of my teacher, what the teacher can do, God alone knows. Even the lotus feet of the teacher can do this. Understand, this is the adjective of this lotus feet. So what do we learn from this? The commentator proceeds to show us, what does this verse point out? It is directly what it states is the salutation to the teacher and the Lord. In so doing, also certain things are pointed out or certain things are indicated. What is it that is indicated? Says the commentator, Atracha Shankarananda Padadvaya Samanadikaranyena Jiva Brahmanoho Ekatva Lakshano Vishaya. Shankarananda, Shankara and Ananda, these are the two words. Padadvaya, the two words Shankara and Ananda. Samanadikaranyena, both of them are placed in the same adhikarana, same locus. Swami must have explained to you what is Samanadikaranyam. Bhinna pravritti nimittanam padanam ekasmin arthe tatparyam. Eka vibhaktikanam padanam ekasmin arthe tatparyam samanadikaranyam. Meaning that the words all convey different meanings, but then the words have the same locus. So Shankara conveys one meaning, it conveys the meaning of Lord, Paramatma. Ananda conveys another meaning, Jivatma. But both of them have the same locus. That shows that both of them refer to the same entity. Otherwise they will not be in the same locus. Two things cannot exist simultaneously in one place unless both of them refer to the same thing. Otherwise two separate things cannot be in one place at one time. But what is done grammatically is a wonderful thing. That this is a very grammatical wonder. That two apparently different looking and different meaning words are placed in the same locus, and thereby the identity between the two is indicated. That unless both of them meant the very same thing, they could not have been in the same adhikaranam. So Shankara and Ananda, Paramatma and Jivatma must be identical. That is what is indicated by placing them in the same locus in the nominative case. So Ananda is Jiva, Shankara is Brahma, and both of them are in the same locus. Jiva Brahmanoho Ekatva Lakshanaha. The identity between Jiva and Brahma, that is what is pointed out by Shankarananda, and that forms a very subject matter of the whole text. Vishaya. We say yesterday that for every text, these fourfold factors must be very clear in the beginning itself. First important factor is Vishaya, the subject matter. So what is going to be the subject matter of this text? Shankarananda is the subject matter. What is it? The identity between Jiva and Brahma. This is what will be unfolded in this text throughout. And what does it mean? This Jiva is identical to Brahma. The individual self is identical to Brahman. What is Brahman? Of the nature of limitlessness, of the nature of Ananda. So the Tikakara says, Jivasya bhuma brahma rupataya aparikchinna sukhavirbhava lakshanam prayojanam cha suchitam. Now what happens is, if Jiva is indeed Brahma, then what is it that in fact deprives him of the joy of being Brahman? Ignorance. And so removal of ignorance, what it does is, it just makes manifest what is already there. Like there may be a statue and there may be a veil in front of the statue, you unveil the statue. By unveiling, what is done is, what is already there is just made manifest. Like the clouds covering the sun, when the clouds go away, the sun which is already shining just becomes manifest. And so also this bhuma, bhuma means bhuma means big or abundant. So bhuma means limitless. Bhuma brahma rupataya. Since Jiva is revealed here to be Brahman, which is limitless, that limitlessness or that Ananda which is veiled by ignorance, by removal of the ignorance, that Ananda which is already there just becomes manifest. So aparikchinna sukha. Sukha means happiness, which is aparikchinna, not limited by anything. That limitless happiness. Avirbhava lakshanam. Avirbhava means what? Manifestation. So what is prayojanam? What is it that we attain by the knowledge of the identity between Jiva and Brahma? What do we attain? We attain that limitless happiness. which was veiled by ignorance and which becomes manifest when the veil of ignorance is removed. This is the prayojanam, the purpose of the study of the text. The subject matter may be great, but if it does not help us, then it doesn't. The text may discuss relativity, cosmos, all kinds of things it may discuss. They may consider the very important topics, but so what? If by gaining that knowledge, do I become any different from what I am? If I don't, then there is no point in that knowledge. Here on the other hand, this knowledge unveils that Ananda which is my true nature, and that is the Paramapurushartha. That is what I have been seeking throughout my life, and thus this very knowledge becomes a direct means for attainment of the goal of my life. That is prayojanam, so moksha. Savilasa ityadina, by that this is indicated that the Guru eliminates ignorance and unveils the Ananda. Nishesha anartha nivritti lakshanam prayojanam mukhatah eva abhitam. Mukhatah, the Granthakara, the author directly says, Mukhatah means in words. In fact, the author indicates what? Nishesha anartha nivritti lakshanam prayojanam. So moksha is considered to be freedom or liberation, is considered to be two things. One is what? The atyantika dukkha nivritti, the total elimination of all suffering. And niratishaya ananda avaptihi, attainment of the ananda which is limitless. Although both are simultaneous, but still. Sukha prapti, dukkha nivritti, attainment of happiness and elimination of suffering. It is said this way because there are some people who believe that these two are different things. The Nayayikas, they believe that these two are different things. That elimination of suffering is one thing, attainment of happiness is another thing. So the thing. We don't say that. But still, this goal is achieved by elimination of ignorance, is elimination of all the suffering. Because suffering was there only because of ignorance. There is no reason for suffering. All other reasons may be there, psychological reasons, etc. Of course. But ultimately, behind all of them, what's the reason? We may trace all our suffering due to our upbringing and all kinds of things, no doubt. But even then, what can cause, any situation can cause me suffering only when there is ignorance. Otherwise, no situation can cause me suffering. If I know who I am, if I know the true nature of myself, no situation can influence me at all. The fact that situation can influence me and make me suffer is because I am ignorant. As in Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya very beautifully says, ignorance has two aspects. One is veiling the nature of reality, and second is creating a misapprehension or a wrong comprehension about the reality. Idea is committing an error. So, when a rope is taken to be a snake, two things are involved there. One is the ignorance of the rope, and second is mistaking the rope to be the snake. If I merely did not know the rope, well, there would not have been a problem. But taking the rope to be the snake is a problem. So, this veiling of the rope is called avaranam, veiling. And taking the rope to be a snake is called vikshepa. Vikshepa means creation or projection, superimposition. So, only when this avaranam is there, then alone the vikshepa can create problem. If ignorance is there, then alone this superimposition can create the problem. Samsara can create problem only to the one who is ignorant. Otherwise, samsara cannot create a problem for the wise man. And for that, a beautiful illustration is given by Shankaracharya. In this kind of weather, when the sun is veiled by clouds, at that time the wind is scorching. So wind is compared to what we call samsara, the different experiences. When the sun is veiled by the cloud of ignorance, then alone these experiences will create all kinds of inflictions upon us. But when the sun shines, then the very wind becomes pleasant. When sun does not shine, the wind becomes tormenting. When the sun shines, the very wind becomes pleasant. And so also in ignorance, that all experiences of our life are tormenting. When knowledge is there, the very same experiences become only what? occasions for pleasure. Well, you don't need it. The idea is that if we feel that our suffering is due to the world or due to situations, we must also know that another factor is present there, namely ignorance. Had ignorance not been there, no situation could create suffering for me. But situations do create because of ignorance. And so it is necessary that ignorance must go, then all the suffering automatically goes away. And then the joy or the ananda that is my true nature becomes evident. So nishesha anartha nivritti lakshanam prayojanam. Also there is a total elimination of all the suffering in life, and there is attainment of the limitless joy. Both of these are accomplished by the removal of ignorance. This is the prayojanam, this is the purpose of this text. So two things are indicated by the first verse. One is the Vishaya, the subject matter, which is identity between Jiva and Brahma, and second is Prayojanam, the purpose, that by knowledge of that identity there is a total cessation of all suffering, and there is manifestation or evidence of the Ananda. Then a third thing, Adhikari. Who is the one who is a fit student, or who is the one who will be most benefited by the study of the text? That is stated in the second verse. As the Tikakara says, introducing the second verse, Idanim avantara prayojana kathana purassaram grantharambham pratijanite. Avantara prayojanam. There is a mukhya prayojanam, avantara prayojanam. The primary purpose and the secondary purpose. Avantara means secondary. What is the secondary purpose of the text? Knowledge. So knowledge of the self is the secondary purpose. What's the primary purpose? Liberation. So moksha is the primary purpose, but what are the means for moksha? Knowledge. Knowledge becomes the secondary purpose of the text. So avantar prayojana kathana purassaram. And other thing is also Adhikari. The next verse also shows who is the Adhikari or the fit student for this text. Grantharambham pratijanite. And then the author does the pratigna, makes the proposition of Grantharambha for commencement of the text. So second verse tells us two things. Who is the Adhikari? Who is a fit student? And also tells us that the purpose of this text is to give the knowledge of the self. And that is with that he proposes the commencement of the text. So we read the second verse. Tatpadam buruhadvandva seva nirmala chetasam sukhabodhaya tattvasya vivekoyam vidhiyate. Vivekoyam vidhiyate. This particular chapter, which is called Tattva Viveka, Tattvasya Vivekaha. This particular chapter, which is called Tattva Viveka Prakaranam, chapter entitled Tattva Viveka Vidhiyate. Now that is being composed here. This particular chapter is composed or written for what? Sukha bodhaya, for an easy comprehension. For an easy comprehension of the subject matter, now we are commencing to write this first chapter entitled Tattva Viveka. For whom? Tat padamburuhadvandva seva nirmala chetasam. The poetry here. This poetry is there only in the first two verses, that's all. Then it becomes purely a Vedantin. So then it becomes very simple. But here, nirmala chetasam, for those seekers who are nirmala chetasam. Chetas means the mind. Nirmala chetasam, those who enjoy what we call a pure mind, those who attain the purity of the mind. How? Seva, by service. Those who attain the purity of mind by serving. Serving what? Tat padamburuhadvandva. Tat means that Guru. Pada means the feet. Amburuha again means lotus. Dvandva means the two. by service to the two lotus feet of the teacher, those who attain the purity of the heart, for them, for their easy comprehension, this particular chapter entitled Tattva Viveka is now being commenced. That's what the verse means. The commentator explains that. He explains that the first line, Tat Padamburuhadvandva Seva Nirmala Chedasam, says, Tat means Tasya Guroho, because Tat is a pronoun. Tat means that. Now that you can use only when the subject is known. Since the earlier verse discussed that Guru, therefore by Tat here is meant the Guru who has been referred to in the first verse. Tat means Tasya Tat Padamburuha, Tasya Padamburuhe, Tasya Guroho, Padav Eva Amburuhe. Ambu again means water. Ruh means that which sprouts. So that which grows in water is called Amburuha. For lotus there are so many words. Ambuja, Ambujanma, Amburuha. And so again, these two, Kamale, Tayoho Dvandvam. So these two lotus feet of the teacher. Tasya Sevaya, Paricharyaya. By the Seva or the Paricharya or the service to the two lotus feet of the teacher. The two lotus feet of one teacher. One foot stands for Jiva, other foot stands for Brahma. And so lotus feet point out again the oneness of Jiva and Brahma. So we serve both the feet of the teacher. Does it mean that we serve only feet of the teacher and don't bother about his head or anything? No, that's not the idea. Idea is that when we serve the feet of the teacher, means serve the teacher. But I am willing to serve even the feet of the teacher, let alone anything else. Because feet represent the lowest part and the what shall I say, the most inferior part of the body is the feet. When I serve that, then what to talk of serving the rest of the Guru? Serving the feet means serving the teacher. But then feet is as far as I can go. I don't still have an access to his head, which is beyond the clouds. His head is a dwelling or reveling somewhere which at the moment is not within my reach. What is within my reach is only his feet. As you must have heard in this Purusha Suktam, that of the Lord, the head is what? The heavens, beyond the clouds. And what are the feet of the Lord? The earth. And so what we know right now or perceive is the earth, which is only the feet. And with the help of that, we have to climb all the way up to the head. If an ant, for example, has to climb my body, where does it start from? It starts from the feet and slowly climbs up to the head. So that's where we start. All that an ant can see right now is the feet, because that it has a very limited vision. And so also at the moment I have very limited vision. All I can perceive or all I can comprehend is the feet of the teacher. With the help of them, taking the refuge of them, I have to reach the head of the teacher, where the teacher dwells. And that's why we start with the service of the feet. And well, again, this is cultural, that feet of the Lord or feet of the teacher are always, that there is a great mahima or a great glory of the feet and the service of the feet. And the yogis and the devotees meditate on the feet of the Lord. And they are compared to the boat which enable you to cross the ocean of samsara, etc. So that's why this is mentioned here. The idea is to serve the teacher, which is also cultural again, service to the teacher. Paricharya, stuti namaskaradi lakshanaya. So we must separate here what is cultural and what is Vedanta, So what is paricharya means seva? Stuti namaskaradi lakshana. Stuti, the praise of the teacher. Namaskara, salutation to the teacher, etc. So the seva which includes all of this, as again the Bhagavad Gita said, in the 4th chapter, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshndite jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. When Lord Krishna told Arjuna that this knowledge is that which is the ultimate end in life, that all the action culminates into knowledge, how to gain that knowledge? Then Lord says, you gain that knowledge by creating a condition for the teacher to impart knowledge to you. The idea is that before the communication can effectively take place, a certain condition must be created. By condition we mean a frame of mind must be created. And where the frame of mind is to be created is in the student, in the disciple. And so it is compared to the tuning up. My mind must be tuned up to the mind of the teacher. And then alone I can experience the grace of the teacher, his grace which is conveyed through the words. And that itself that itself creates a knowledge. So the words of the teacher convey the scriptures as well as his very grace. And I am the recipient of that, and those words become effective in creating in me the appreciation of what the words stand for. And therefore a frame of mind is necessary. And that frame of mind is attained by the seva, by the service to the teacher. Stadvidip pranipatena, by long prostration. Pariprashnena, by the right kind of question. Sevaya, by service to the teacher. Here Arjuna, when you do that, then upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Those wise and learned teachers will definitely impart this knowledge to you when this particular condition is created. Then you invoke in him that love and compassion that we should be able to invoke. His love and compassion ever flows for everyone. But still, as we said yesterday, that sun's light is everywhere, but we have to open the window. Then another light floods our room. And so also the grace and compassion of the teacher is ever there, but we have to open the heart of our own, window of our own heart. Then alone we become the recipient of them. And for that, this seva means the service to the teacher, is considered to be an extremely effective means. So by this seva, it's not easy to serve anybody, very difficult, that you must have known to serve. It's easy to serve this kind of a teacher here, but usually it is very difficult to serve somebody, because you have to completely give up your own personality and have to totally identify with the personality of the one whom you are serving. And so what is first required in service is that I must give up my ego. So my ego, or my insistence, my likes and dislikes, my convenience, all of that has to be in fact given up if I want to serve and please someone. To please someone is not easy. And that is how, not easy means it enables me to grow. The idea is, by service I am the one to gain, not the one to lose. People may feel that we may be exploited, etc. True, we may be exploited if the service is to the person who does not deserve, but otherwise, if service to the teacher is for the growth of the disciple, that I discover within me that humility, that sense of surrender, which is very necessary to gain this knowledge, which makes the mind receptive. And in that receptive mind, I can see the meaning of the words of the teacher. So by this seva, nirmalam, tat padamburuhadvandva seva nirmala chetasam. My chetas, or the mind, becomes nirmalam, becomes free from likes and dislikes. Because my likes and dislikes are all surrendered to the teacher, and I adopt his likes and dislikes. And that is how my likes and dislikes, my sense of individuality, my convenience, all of this is surrendered at the feet of the teacher, and that is how my mind becomes purer and purer. Nirmalam. Ragadirahitam. What is mala? Mala means impurity. What is the nature of impurity? The likes and dislikes. And this ego also. The ego, the sense of possessiveness, likes, dislikes, all of these, which become the obstacles in my being the right recipient. And so the receptacle, which is my mind, has to be clean, and that is achieved by the service to the teacher. Ragadarahitam chetaha antahkaranam yesham te tathoktaha. Tathoktaha means what? Tat padam urhadvandva seva nirmala chetasaha. The other people, Tesham Chedasam. Thus the people who have purified their mind by the service to the lotus feet of the teacher, for them, Sukha Bodhaya, for easy, Bodha means knowledge. Sukha means easily. Sukha Bodhaya, for the easy comprehension. Says Anayasena Tattva Jnana Utpadanaya. Sukha means Anayasena, without ayasa. Ayasa means exertion. Anayasa, without exertion or very little exertion. So only with a small effort, with little effort, Tattva Jnana Utpadanaya, for the arising of the Tattva Jnanam, the knowledge of the truth. So for the people whose mind is thus prepared by the service to the teacher, for them, the easy comprehension for them. Ayam vivekaha, tattvasya vivekaha vidhiyate. Ayam means vakshimana prakaraha, tattvasya anaropita swarupasya akhandam satchidanandam mahavakyen lakshadeti vakshimanasya vivekaha aropitat panchakosha lakshanat jagataha vivechanam vidhiyate kriyate ityarthaha. See there, vivekaha ayam vidhiyate. Ayam means this. What is this? Vakshamana prakara, as it will be stated. This viveka means this discriminative inquiry. The discriminative inquiry which follows, that is being vidhiyate, that is being composed. For tattvasya, tattva means the truth. Tat means that. And tva means the state. Tattva means the nature of that, the nature of the reality. So tattvasya anaropita swarupasya. Tattva means the truth. There is an aropita swarupa. This, upon the truth that I am, there is an aropa, superimposition of the sense of limitation. So when that superimposition is eliminated, then anaropita swarupa, that the true nature of myself, free from superimposition, that is called tattvam. Or the free nature of the true nature of creation, free from the superimposition. The true nature of the Lord, free from superimposition. It is superimposition which creates the distinct duality between Jiva, Ishvara, Jagat. When you eliminate the superimpositions, then what is the tattvam, the true nature. And what is akhandam, satchidanandam, mahavakyena lakshate. That's what the mahavakya, that tattvamasi, that thou art. That is called mahavakya. What is mahavakya? Akhandartha bodhakam vakyam. That which teaches us, or that which reveals the akhandartha, the identity. And what is it that is pointed out? When the scripture says, or Upanishad says, tattvamasi, you are that. What is that? Akhandam Satchidanandam, that which is akhandam, unbroken, continuous. Satchidanandam, of the nature of Sat, existence, Chit, knowledge, Ananda, fullness. So that is the nature of the truth. Iti vakshamanasya vivekaha. So this truth is what is going to be revealed. By what? By viveka, by discriminative inquiry. Aropitat panchakosha lakshanat jagataha vivechanam. So, as we said, there is aviveka, or non-discrimination between Atma and Anatma. Just as by non-discrimination between iron and fire, we may think that there is round fire. Similarly also, here I take myself with the body. It is necessary to distinguish between the Atma and Anatma. Aropitat Pañcakosha Lakshanat Jagataha. This particular chapter is going to describe what we call Pañcakosha Viveka. That you know what is Pañcakosha, or that will be discussed here. That Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, these Pañcakoshas are there, which as though veil the true nature of the self, and so it is necessary to distinguish the self from the non-self, and this discriminative inquiry, vidhiyate, kriyate, that is going to be discussed, or that is what is going to be discussed in this particular chapter. So this chapter, the first chapter, is going to primarily focus the attention on Viveka, discrimination between the self and non-self. What is non-self or anatma? Of the nature of Paṃcadaśī. Purify those who have purified their mind by the service to the lotus feet of a teacher, or any other way, anyway, regardless of how you do that. So many other methods are there for purification of mind. There are several methods. One method is stated here. But service to the society, even that also, any selfless service will bring about purification. Dedicated service, selfless service. If the teacher is a very easy altar for serving. But if there is some other altar, well, that is also fine. If one feels that, well, I want to serve the poor, I want to serve the needy, and if I do it selflessly, that also will bring about purification of mind. I serve the Lord in the form of the needy, a Lord in the form of the poor, that also is fine. There must be some altar where I can surrender, or I can offer my ego, where I can offer my likes and dislikes, where I can offer my convenience. There must be some altar. Now teacher becomes a very convenient altar because he is the living embodiment of what you are seeking in your life. Teacher in fact stands for what we are seeking, and therefore it's very easy to relate and very easy to serve. That's why teacher is glorified so much. But any other kind of service also which brings about an offering of my ego, an offering of my likes and dislikes, that altar also is fine. Or it may be simply the worship of Lord in a given form or without the form. Also Lord in the form of the people, Lord in the other form, or Lord in the form of teacher, wherever, or whatever is the altar, service of that altar or offering oneself to that altar is necessary in order to purify the mind. That's what is intended here. So however the mind is purified, for those jignasus or the seekers enjoying that pure mind, for their easy comprehension, this particular chapter, which is going to discuss the discrimination between the self and the non-self, is being written. So fit student is pointed out, and this text is now, he makes the proposition pratigna for starting this text. From the third verse now, the subject matter begins right away. What is it that the author is going to do in the subsequent verses? Here the commentator first tells us, Jiva Brahmanoho Ekatva Lakshana Vishaya Sambhavanaya Jivasya Satya Jnanadirupatam Didarshaishuhu Adau Jnanasya Abheda Pratipadanena Nityatvam Sadhayati. It was said that this Vishaya or the subject matter of this text is Jiva Brahma Aikya, identity between Jiva and Brahma. So Jiva Brahmanoho Ekatva Lakshana Vishaya, which is characterized by the identity between Jiva and Brahma, Sambhavanaya. First of all, the author, Viditatmananda Swami, by a logical analysis, shows how the Jiva and Brahma can be one. The identity between Jiva and Brahma, that identity, Sambhavanaya, Yogyatva Pradarshanaya, showing that indeed Jiva is Brahman. That is pointed out logically also. So by logical analysis, Jivasya Satya Jnanadirupatam Didarshaishuhu, that author wants to show that what we call Jiva, the individual self, is in fact what? Satya Jnanadi. This one is pure existence. Jnanam, the Jiva is of the nature of knowledge. Ananda, he is of the nature of happiness. So first of all, the author proceeds to show how this Jiva is Satya. He is changeless, he is eternal, or he is beyond the limitation of time. How is jnanam of the nature of knowledge or consciousness? How is ananda of the nature of joy or fullness? That's first pointed out. So that's an inquiry into what we call tvampada, to the individual. Adau jnanasya abheda pratipadanena nityatvam sadhayati. So what is the nature of the individual? I am a conscious being, and so consciousness is my nature. What is the nature of that consciousness? We feel that the consciousness constantly changes. Now I am conscious of a book, then I am conscious of a fan, then I am conscious of a microphone, and so it seems that the consciousness constantly keeps on changing. And accordingly, I, the individual, also seem to be constantly changing. So, thus I find myself constantly a changing entity. But is there any changeless thread running in and through this changing entity? That will be the truth. The truth is that which ever retains its nature. That is truth. In me, I, who is constantly an entity which is in flux, is there something that is constant, something that is invariable, something that is changeless? Is there something? If that is so, that should be my true nature. So that which is changeless is always the truth, and that which is changing is always incidental. Thus, in case of the clay in the pot, when you make a pot from the clay, well, clay now appears in the form of a pot. If you break that pot, it turns into pieces. You further pound it, it becomes powder. And thus the form of that clay keeps on changing. Now it is pot, then it is pieces, then it is powder, whatever. But even when there is pot, there is clay. Even when there are pieces, there is clay. When there is powder, there is clay. And so clay is the unchanging or the changeless aspect. So that which is changeless is the truth. And that which is changing like the form is always incidental, is superimposition. It is necessary now. What is that aspect in me which is changeless, which is true, and what is that aspect in me which is changing? That is where attention is now brought to ourselves. Jnanasya abheda pratipadanena. The teacher here shows how jnana of the knowledge is changeless. The form of the knowledge keeps on changing, all right, but knowledge itself is changeless. Abheda pratipadanena nityatvam sadhayati. That jnanam is nityam. Knowledge is nityam or changeless. That's what is first shown in several verses by the teacher here. And so the third verse says, Shabdasparshadayo vedyaha Vaichitrya jagare prathaka Tato vibhakta tatsamvita Aikarupyan bhidyate. This is an analysis of our common experience. Commonly and constantly in the waking state, we keep on gaining knowledge of different objects. Now the knowledge of the book, then the knowledge of the glass, then the knowledge of man, fan, chair. The objects of knowledge keep on changing. That's what he says. Shabdas prashadayoho vedyaha jagare vaichitrya prathak. Jagare, in the waking state, Shabdas prashadayaha vedyaha, these objects of knowledge such as Shabdas prasha, etc. Shabda means sound, sparsha means touch. So sound, touch, form, smell, taste, all these different objects of perception, Vaichitra, since all of them are different from one another, they are separate. The sound is not the form, form is not the touch, touch is not the smell, smell is not the taste, and therefore the objects of knowledge are constantly changing. Now there is knowledge of cow, then there is knowledge of buffalo, then there is knowledge of horse. Cow is not the horse, horse is not buffalo, And therefore, the objects of knowledge constantly keep on changing because these objects are different from one another. Tato tataha vibhakta tat samvita. Samvit means knowledge. Tat samvita, the knowledge of these objects, is tataha vibhakta. Samvit is knowledge, that's feminine. So this samvita consciousness is vibhakta, is different from these objects. So here is a cow, I have knowledge of the cow. Cow is the object of knowledge, and knowledge which illumines that cow is different from cow. Tataha vibhakta. Then there is knowledge of the horse. Horse is the object of knowledge. The knowledge that illumines the horse is different from the horse. So knowledge is different from the object that is illumined by the knowledge. Tataha vibhakta tat samvita. The knowledge of these objects is different from those objects. Now, that samvita knowledge, is it changing? Aikarupyad. It is ekarupa. It is of the same knowledge. It is of the same nature. So, in knowledge of the horse, knowledge of the cow, and knowledge of a buffalo, the horse is different from cow, cow is different from buffalo, but knowledge in each case is the same. Na bhidyate, and therefore the knowledge or samvit or consciousness, na bhidyate, does not change. Very simple and very easy to comprehend. If we just want to focus our attention to reality, all we have to do is shift our focus of attention from the changing to the changeless thing. That's all. Nothing else. Let the changing thing be there, all right. But then the truth is what? That it is changeless. So here the same method is employed, that the objects, in every form of knowledge, there is an object of knowledge and there is knowledge. The object keeps on changing, the knowledge does not change. And that which does not change is called nitya. Nitya means changeless, not affected by the change in time. Now the commentator explains, Shabdas Parashadaya Ityadina Nityatvam Sadhayati. See, that's a continuation of the earlier statement. Jnanasya abheda pratipadanena nityatvam sadhayati Shabdas Parashadaya Ityadina. By several verses beginning from Shabdas Parashadaya, the author in fact establishes the fact that Jnana or knowledge is Nityam, is changeless. This particular fact is established by the verses beginning from Shabdas Prasadaya. Tatra tavada vispashta vyavaharavati jagare jnanasya abhedam sadhayati. In this particular process of establishing the changelessness of the knowledge, tatra, tavada, then, first, this particular thing is established in the waking state. Vispashta vyavaharavati jagare. Jagara means the waking state. What is the characteristic of waking state? Vispashta vyavaharavat. So that which involves a very distinct transaction, where the transactions which take place are very clearly known to us. So waking state is that where the transactions which take place are very clearly known to us. And therefore it is very easy to understand the nature. And then that same understanding can then be extended to the dream state and the deep sleep state. But the waking state here is first taken for the inquiry because the experiences here are very clear. Vispashta vyavaharavati jagare, in the waking state, jnanasya abhedam sadhayati. The teacher establishes abheda, or the changelessness of jnanam, of knowledge. Shabdaiti. What is jagaritam? What is waking state? He explains that jagare indriyahi arthopalabdhihi jagaritam iti uklakshane. See, jagare is a word from the text. Shabdas prasadayo vedyaha vaichitra jagare prasak. That jagare is this jagare in the tika. What is the waking state? Shankaracharya in another text called Paṃcikaranam gives the definitions of the three states. That the waking state is defined like this. This is a characteristic or lakshana of the waking state. And the definition must be very tight. Definition must be such that it should not exclude what is necessary and it should not include what is not necessary. So, avyapti should not be there, ativyapti should not be there, etc. So there, this waking state is explained like this. Indriyehi arthopalabdhihi jagaritam. What is waking state? Indriyehi arthopalabdhihi. Upalabdhi means knowledge. Arthopalabdhihi, knowledge of the objects. Indriyehi, by the sense organs. So perception of the objects by sense organs, this is called the waking state. Why is it said like this? Because even in the dream also there is perception of the objects. In fact, in the dream also we have a very similar experience as we have in the waking state. How do we distinguish between the waking state and the dream state? In the waking state, the knowledge comes through the organs of perception. In the dream state, these organs of perceptions are not pressed into service. That's the distinction. Otherwise, experience is very similar. But then, the experience is caused here by the organs of perception. So it is said, Indriyehi arthopalabdhihi, perception of the objects through the sense organs is jagaritam. That's the characteristic of this waking state. Iti uktarakshane, the waking state that is so described or defined, avastha visheshe, which is a particular state of experience, particular state of mind. In this jagare, vedyaha, vedyaha means the objects of knowledge. It says, samvid vishaya bhutaha. So those which are the objects of knowledge, samvid vishaya bhutaha, shabdas prashadayaha. You may underline these words and you know which words come from the text. So Vedyaha comes from the text. Shabdas Prashadayaha from the text. Jagare from the text. So before coming to the class, we just spot those things. Then you will know how the words in the text are explained by the commentator. Shabdas Prashadaya, all these different objects such as the sound, the touch, etc. Akashadi gunatvena prasiddhaha. Shabda or the sound is the quality of the element space. Touch is the quality of the element air. Form is the quality of the element fire. Taste is the quality of the element water. Smell is the quality of the element earth. This is a Vedantic model. So Vedantic model is that the created universe is thought to be consisting of or made up of 5 elements. Why 5 elements? Because we have 5 organs of perception. Therefore, if there is a 6th element, we would not even know it because we don't have just a sense to perceive. So those, there are jivas, or there are creatures having only one sense perception. There are creatures having 2 sense perceptions. There are creatures having 3, there are creatures having 4, and here is a creature having 5. So there are all these creatures in the creation. Now those who are endowed with only one sense of perception, they will not know the rest of the creation anyway. If there are devatas who have 6 or 7 organs of perception, they will know more than we know. Indra is supposed to have 1,000 eyes, things like that. Idea is that there may be much more potential which they may be able to experience, it's different upadhi. But anyway, the creation is supposed to be or said to be made up of these 5 elements. Each element has its own distinct characteristic and each element becomes the object of knowledge by the corresponding sense perception. So Akashadi Gunatvena Prasiddhaha, the 5 elements, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Apah, Prithvi, each one of them has the corresponding quality, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So those which are very well known, those objects, Tat Adharatvena Prasiddhaha Akashadayascha. Not only the objects such as sound, touch, etc., but even the elements of which these are the qualities. So Akasha is what? The Adhara the abode of sound. Sound abode abides where? In Akasha. Touch abides where? In Vayu. Form abides where? In fire. And so all these fivefold objects as well as those elements which are the locus for these objects. Prasiddhaha akashadasya vaichitryat. Vaichitryat comes from the text. Because they are many or various. Since they are various, parasparam vailakshanyo pedatvat, since they are all different from one another. Gavashvadivat, go ashvadivat. Go means a cow, ashva means a horse. A common example, like horse is different from the cow, and so also shabda is different from sparsha. Sparsha is different from rupa, just as the cow is different from a horse. Vailakshanyo pedatvat, and since all these objects are characterized as being different from one another, pruthak, they are all different. Parasparam vidyante, they are all different from each other. Meaning that the different objects that we constantly perceive, all of them are different from one another. Whereas the samvit or the knowledge by which these objects are known, that knowledge or consciousness is not different. The same consciousness which illumines all the objects. So consciousness is changeless, the objects are changing. This is you must have heard Swamiji also saying in the analysis that in our experiences, in any experience there are two elements. One is subject, other is the object that is experienced. In this, the subject, the I, is changeless, and the object which I experience constantly changes. But even in the subject also, I find now that I am happy, then I am unhappy, then I am speaker, then I am walker, then I am eater. Even subject also keeps on changing. In the subject also there is a changing aspect and a changeless aspect. I am the speaker, I am the eater, I am the walker. That speaker, walker, eater keeps on changing. That I remains changeless. That I itself is samvit. That consciousness is indicated here by the word samvit. That's a changeless aspect. That's a changeless thing. Everything else keeps on changing. And so that changeless is the truth of the I. The changing is that which is incidental, superimposed. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.